You know, after 386 of these videos, it is a source of tremendous joy and comfort when it starts, just starts. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I'm Abby Haggard. Click. It now says, hi, everyone. Welcome back. And this is our Thursday, 10 o'clock in the morning, Abby, New York time video. For those of you who are new, just joining, checking it out, saw something on LinkedIn, saw something on YouTube, saw something on Instagram, and you said, what's that? You know who that woman looks like? And you were right. And you were right. And so here's what I'm doing. Here's what we're doing. Twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, Tuesdays and Thursdays, I get together with you and I talk about life skills for those of us who are ready to say, that's not working. Next, please. Check, please. And the program that I'm developing, that I've been developing all the way through COVID and out the other side, and then frantic scramble to move back after life as I knew blew up. All of it, of course, working content for my idea, which is, by the way, Pivotry in motion. You can't pivot before you think it, plan it, want it, and go for it. And so the Pivotry part, the art form, the creative part is all in here, and a little bit in here. And what people don't realize is that this think, plan, do concept that we've grown up with is missing a very important ingredient. And the important ingredient is want to, love to, ready to, willing to, let's do. There has to be a spontaneous yes that takes place somewhere inside us that tells us we're ready. And this is the Pivotry element that everyone is kind of glossing over, forgetting about, thinking that I can think my way through my feelings. Well, good luck with that. So what I decided to do when I began this program and decided, you know what, I can combine this thing that I've done for decades, which is entertain and mentor and enlighten. And I can add a few other elements that are, pragmatic and important and essential. And so it's kind of like show and tell way back in the day, except that I'm the show and the tell. So the conversation today, episode 386 today, is timely. And the title is, what if the job interview isn't about me? And the reason I chose it is because everywhere you look on all social media right now, everybody is promoting, advertising, sign up, do it now, get a booth, bring your company to all these job fairs. Because everybody, about halfway through August, says, I guess it's time to take myself seriously. And they start packing up all of the perishables from the cottage and wonder why they've gained weight because all they ate all summer were s'mores around the campfire. And then they head home. And they head home to reality. And reality is, I was going to plan something in June, and I decided I would think about it all summer long. And I didn't. So what we're doing with these videos, this is the my gift to you portion of this slight jog in my career path. My gift to you is me walking you through the concepts, the breadcrumbs, the notions, the ideas, the philosophies, the focus. And if you are interested, if you are available, if you are following, and you check in on these videos, you're going to notice that there's a pattern, there's a trend, there's a path. And the pattern, trend, and path are, you can't get where you're going without a map. You can't use a map unless you have a starting point and an end game. And then, with somebody who knows how to read a map or write one, you plot the path best suited to you. So what I'm bringing is all of those skills. I'm a military kid. So every 15 minutes, we lived someplace new. And every 15 minutes at someplace new, I had to figure out where my locker was at school and where my house was when I got home. And it was exhausting until it became my normal. And then my normal has always been, what is different today that I want to navigate? And how am I going to do that? And I do it without even thinking every day. When I turn around and I look and I talk to people and I realize that most people don't do that, I say to myself, how do they get through life? And the answer is, you know what? Not great. So that's the genesis of this. That's the source of this. So the conversation today, what if the job interview isn't about me? And you say to yourself, well, for heaven's sakes, Abby, they put up a job fair. They have people sitting at desks. They have signs for their companies. If the job interview isn't for me, who's it for? And my answer is, it's for the poor benighted soul who's sitting at that desk. It's for the person back at the company who said, fine then, hire someone. But they're not happy about it. And you know why they're not happy about it? Well, let's get it personal. Suppose somebody said to you, you're having trouble keeping the house clean. And you can either take it personally or say, I know, right? And then the next question is, well, why don't you get somebody to do what? Clean the house. Well, I can't do that. Why not? Well, for heaven's sakes, it's my house. It's not that big. I could do it if I wanted to. Yeah, but you're having people over. That's when I want to. Okay, but when you look around you at all the clutter, wouldn't you like it better if it wasn't cluttered? Sure, I'd like it better if it wasn't cluttered. I'd like to lose 5 pounds by Friday, but it's already Thursday, so I don't know. Good morning, Freddie. And so people just kind of let things slide. They let things coast. And gradually, bit by bit, the dust bunnies take over the house. The dust bunnies take over the workspace. The dust bunnies take over your brain. And then you're running on empty and you don't know how it happened. And that's when somebody at your company says, we need someone. You're working 90 hours a week. I'm working 90 hours a week. We can't keep doing this. We're going to get sick. If one of us gets sick, what happens? And then the person whose job it is to know better says, fine then, find us someone. Now here's the problem. My throat was a little scratchy this morning, so the warm beverage is great. Here's the problem. The person who starts a business, it's their baby, right? It's their baby. They love it and they can do it all. That's why they started that business. And then, oh, God forbid, it does well. And now they need people, except that they don't really know how to hire anybody. Good morning, Eddie. So they just find somebody who's a lot like them. And now there's 2 of them. But there are different functions that need to be done. And the person who did the hiring doesn't know that or know any better or can't be bothered. So they hired somebody who doesn't know that, doesn't know better, can't be bothered. Because I like you. You remind me of somebody. Oh, that's right, me. So what you need then is somebody who knows how to hire. Still, this is not about you. Still, it's not about you. I'll tell you why. Because the person who has finally said, fine then, do it, has also realized 2 things that drive them berserk. And it's this. If we find someone and we hire them reluctantly, and we hire them with the caveat that they're on probation until they prove themselves to us. And the person who's desperate for a job says, oh, yes, of course, I understand. Certainly, yes. Okay. And then the owner says, I expect to be paid. The person says, well, it's a job, right? So trade time for money really functions for money. And this is where the reluctance hits the road. Because the job owner, the boss, is now going to hand hard-earned money to someone who has not yet proved that they can do the work. And they're going to have to keep handing over that money while this new person navigates the learning curve. On your first day, you're not expected to know where to park your car. You're not expected to know where the supply cabinet is. You're not expected to know anything. You have a rough idea of the function, but not the specific application here, right? And so they're flying blind. If there are enough people with enough time free to walk them through, that's great. But how many of us have been, hired and then left to our own devices to figure it out for ourselves? More than people realize. And then you come home exhausted. How's the job? Oh my God, there's nobody there. They don't know anything. I'm trying to figure everything out. It's upside down. It's backwards. I started a job once as an executive secretary. Um, and when I opened the file drawer where my predecessor had kept all the correspondence, she had filed all the incoming queries under L for letters, all of them, and not in any particular order in terms of date or alphabet or anything. She just shoved everything into one file folder, letters. And when I pulled it out and I looked at it, I thought, oh, goodness gracious me. And I went to my new boss and I said, did you know about this? And he said, no, but it explains a lot. And he said, what do you need? And I said, I don't know. I think I need to come in on Saturday. And he said, all right, well, listen, if you come in on Saturday, I'll come in on Saturday and I'll help you. And he did. And we worked all through the day, sorting everything out the way he had always thought it was supposed to be going. He ordered in lunch. And by the next Monday, we had something that looked like a system. You know how rare that is? That is a hands-on guy who appreciated that there had been something wrong for a while. And here was somebody who wanted to fix it. And he was ready to dig in with me. That's like a gift from the gods. Mostly that doesn't happen. Mostly the person who has been giving you money and not seeing results is saying, is it done yet? Are you there yet? And the answer is almost. It's only been a week. And everybody is on edge. That is every fresh start. And for a lot of us who left jobs or lost jobs for whatever reason, for whatever circumstance, whether it was external or it was relational or health, something, getting back in the swing of it is a challenge because, nobody forgets how to fall off a bicycle. What we forget is how to stay on. What we forget is how long it took us to get that ease, that dexterity, that balance. Last year I tripped on something and I didn't quite sprain my ankle, but it was really sore and it would swell up occasionally. So I started wearing these very, very flat, slippery things. I called them slugs and pretended that they were shoes because I really couldn't elevate and I was nervous about my balance. So time passes, and I'm quite comfortable, except that it's starting to be summer now and I can't walk around in slippers. So I got out my favorite fabulous summer sandals. They have a bit of a wedge, and I put them on and I started to walk around in the house, and I thought, oh, these are higher than I remembered. Well, of course they're higher than I remembered. I had spent almost a year this high off the ground, like nothing off the ground. Now I'm that off the ground. So I'm walking around clutching furniture and walking, the hallway to get my balance back. And it took a while. And it was the other day I went for a walk with a friend of mine who said, "Boy, you're moving right along. I guess you're healed." And I said, "What?" "Well, you're clipping right along. 3 months ago you were pretty nervous." And I said, "Oh, I know, right? You have to get your sea legs back." And they said, "How's your knee?" And I said, "It's a little wonky on stairs, so I know I pulled something when I fell, but it's all right. It'll heal. I just need to do more stairs." That conversation we can transpose. "Oh, Eddie, you got your first work review yesterday, and you guys are heart, so awesome, awesome. Good morning, Daniel." So that is so good news, Eddie. You so deserve it. So here's the thing. Here's the thing about going to the job interview. It's the employer's problem, and they're trying to solve it. Now, you know how it is when you have a problem that you just can't find the solution for. It's all over the place in your head and you can't focus on anything. And when somebody comes along and says, anything I can do to help, the first thing you want to do is say, no, go ahead. Like Chester and Spike. Hey, Spike, you want to go to the movies? Nah. Leave me alone. I got a problem. So when somebody finally says job fair, and that person says, I can't go, I'm the only one running this place, you go and you better bring results. So the person, the poor schmo who's sitting at the job fair table, it's all about them. The whole thing is about them. That means what? That means the pressure is off us. The pressure is off us to make sure that everything is absolutely perfect when we go in, and there are no typos and there's no ink stains, and we have every single question memorized letter perfect. We're not there to get a gold star. We're there to take their problem off their shoulders. Imagine what happens when we do that. Imagine who's number one when we do that. What does that mean when we're going to the job interview? What does it mean when we're going to the job fair? It means, came with performance, a raise, oh boy, and been there a year raise. Oh, Eddie, how perfect. How absolutely perfect and how well deserved. Good for you. Freddie, sorry, we'll see you next time. This conversation that we're having today is not just about the job fair. It's actually about everything. But we're going to use the job fair as the example today so that I can explain to you why I'm even bringing it up in the first place. Okay? Quick sip. If it's their problem and we want to solve it, we want to be the one who solves it. We want to be the one who hands them the prize. I found this, I brought this for you. What do we need to know? We don't need to know where we went to school and how long we were there. We don't need to know what clubs we belong to and where our interests lie. We don't really need to know who the last 75,000 employers were. We only need to know three things. We need to know what they do. How do we find that out? Well, we look it up. Where do we look it up? Google. Website. What they do. What does that mean? What does what do they do mean? You know, I mean, Eddie and I can talk about this all day till the cows come home. If you're in retail, if you're in hospitality, if you're in services of some kind, the public is involved. You have to have good skills with people. If you are in the back room organizing materials, organizing products, organizing deliverables, you're in systems. What matters to that company is how efficiently, when the ask comes in, the answer goes out. If you are in oversight, accounting, strategic planning, you're in data recovery. It's numbers, it's facts, it's charts, it's graphs. Which of those categories of things are you good at? I mean, you can transfer those skills anywhere. If you're good with people, you can work almost anywhere, except possibly in a back room somewhere where all you're doing is filling orders, or all you're doing is data entry. Being good with people is interesting, but not job related as an asset. As an asset. So in order to know if you are a good fit, if your super skill is a good fit, You need to know what they do. Look them up. What do they do? If you can look up some reviews of them, you can find out if they're growing or they're tanking. And if you look up what's going on in the world, you can figure out why. Now you go to the job interview and they say, so tell me a bit about yourself. And the answer is, thank you for the opportunity. I'd rather talk about you because that's really why I'm here. It's my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, that what your people do is this, this, this. And what the current climate is this, this, this. And if you're at the job fair, you probably need some assistance in at least one of those areas. The person behind the desk says, inside, huh. Outside, they say, you've done your homework. Well, I figure it's a good idea to know who I'm talking to before I come. And so if you'll permit me, what I'd like to tell you, I mean, you can read the resume, but what I'd like to tell you is, based on what I see going on with your business, I think the best skill I can bring to serve you and the company is this. And the first thing that happens, excuse me, pardon me, and the first thing that happens is that person behind the desk says, huh, for the second time. They might even say it out loud. Because in a kabillion years, it never occurred to them that somebody was going to sit down in front of them and understand them, understand their migraine, understand their commitment to antacids because everything that they eat is just roiling around because they're stressed to the max. It's going to change the entire landscape of the conversation moving forward. Because all of a sudden, this conversation is not really about you. It's about what they do and why it's not working. And now, if one of your skills is problem solving, you're on the winning team. And if one of your skills isn't problem solving, then you get to say, while problem solving isn't my best strength, I'm pretty good at profiling and I'm pretty good with people. Or I'm pretty detailed and I'm pretty accurate when it comes to this and this. Give them what they need to feel seen, heard, valued, recognized, not just a source of money. And when am I not working? How much vacation do I get? What are my benefits? In that way, the job interview is not about you. It's about us and how can we together make things better. And then in that moment, depending on how stressed that poor person on the other side of the table is, half the weight has been lifted from their shoulders. Half the concern about when they go back. And the boss says, so what have you got for me? Half the anxiety is gone. That's huge for them. I'll tell you what's huge for you. Two things are huge for you. The first is, now that you know this, you can stop being anxious that they're going to be looking at every inch of you to find fault with you. They're not. They don't even notice if you have matching shoes. Unless, of course, you're watching the movie The Devil Wears Prada. And that's just a thing. What they need is why they're there. What does it say on the sign? Job fair. Okay, if they're employed, then what they need is people to fill empty jobs. What they're looking for is somebody to plug a hole effectively now. So that you prove to them that you understand just that very basic fact is genius. So as I say, the pressure is off you. The second thing, and this is, the first is huge, the one before that is huge. This tops them all. It's like, wow, bang, Shazam. Shazam is you have a 99.999% chance that you are the only person sitting before them that day who approaches the situation this way. That means however many nameless, faceless bodies go before them today, you are the one they remember. You are the one they kept the resume right beside them. You are the one, while you were talking, they jotted your name down and your contact information. You are the one they said, hallelujah, and tried not to let it show. You are the one and only among many. You can't put a price tag on it, right? So now I'm going to flip the script a bit. Lesson that I gave you when you were job hunting last year. Oh, Eddie, thank you. You know, it's in some ways our conversations are guinea pig worthy. me trying stuff to see if it fits you, if it suits you, vicariously, virtually, because we're not face to face, and you testing it out, trying it out, adapting it to suit you, and you know, coming to me and saying, I don't know, I can't figure it out, this is over my head, it's crazy, and I can't even think straight, and pulling all of these barnacle buddies off you so that you could get some draft and get some momentum going again, and then narrowing it down, what your superpower is, what your superpower always has been, that you have been able to transfer through every chapter of your life. And now here, walking in with the right mindset, with the right determination to say, this is who I really am. These are all the things I've done, but this is who I really am. You and the ideal employer went click, and here you are. And that's the magic in all of this. And this allows me to segue into the next important, essential part of this video today. Quick extra sip. Long time ago, when I started writing books for people, and in many cases, they didn't understand the dynamics of human interaction, contact, conflict, engagement, transformation. And I pulled out of my archives from theater and literature an outline that defines the 5 levels at which we communicate with ourselves and each other. And the first level is man versus man, me against me with me. And then in each layer, if you think of an onion, each layer, it's how mankind connects with the next layer beyond them, beyond them, beyond them. And the principle, the title of that concept is how we relate, how we recognize and relate to and with ourselves and the world. And in saying how we relate to and with ourselves and the world, what we're talking about is relationship. How we relate to each other is the definition of our relationship. So when you're going for a job interview, just change job interview to first date. Just change first date to first practice. Just change first practice to first voyage. And what you're looking at again, and you now see it clearly, is that if you want to go on a voyage, it's not about you. It's about the vehicle. It's about the destination. It's about the tools. It's about the supplies. It's about the purpose. It's about the vision that you have. So yes, you're involved, but it's not simply you. It's you in relationship with how we get there, why we're going, what we need, what does it change, who does it serve, why do we care? And in asking all those questions, nowhere does it say, because it's all about me. And this is the thing that no one ever teaches us. And it's crazy because everyone who becomes our teacher was once young and innocent and having no idea what to do with anything. And we could only see the world through our eyes from our point of view. As we got older, we discovered that there was more than one point of view. And how well we get along with people is how well we can put ourselves aside and go and look from somebody else's point of view to get their perspective so that we can understand why they're upset and why we're not. That improves the relationship. If we know as we grow that we learn to see from more points of view, you'd think we'd teach it. You'd think we'd share that with people who are coming along. You'd think first rule of editing is the first paragraph needs to convey yes, who, what, when, where, why. Well, the first rule of editing is that the first paragraph has to get your attention. That's it. And I mean their attention. The first paragraph has to get their attention. How you do it is specific to the circumstance. The first rule of editing is, I don't care, I care. If I don't care, I'm not reading the second paragraph. I'm not reading the second sentence. Therefore, do I care? How can I care? How do I make this sentence grab people and kiss them on the nose? After that, we can dive into the details. The first rule is what's in it for them. If I invite you over for coffee and I know you like a particular kind of coffee and I'm going to go to the store, am I going to buy your coffee or am I going to buy my coffee? Well, it depends on what kind of a friend I am, doesn't it? And how much you're willing to put up with. But if I want to make a great impression and I care about you, I'm going to buy your coffee. Because you're my friend, I invited you over. It's not about me, it's about us. It's two of us. If I'm going to invite a bunch of you over, it's about us. It's more than two of us. I'm still not just buying my coffee. If I'm going to the job fair, it's not about me. It's about the job. When it says blah, blah company, it's not about me. It's about that company and that job. Therefore, let's talk about that company and that job. When I'm going on a date, is it about me? Well, eventually, sure, of course it is. But first of all, I don't want to walk in and offend everybody. I also don't want to walk in and people please everybody. If I'm going on a date, I want to give everything the benefit of the doubt. So I'm going to show up. And if the date walks in and I say, is that grease on your t-shirt? And the guy says, yeah, I was busy. You didn't have time to change? No, I had time to change, but I was watching the game. I don't think you care much about the date. Look, I'm here, aren't I? There you go. And we're out. If the guy says, I've really been looking forward to this, first thing I want to know is, how on earth did you ever blah, blah, blah? And you think, oh my God, they've done some research on me. How cool. If you're a new neighbor, if you're joining a team, if you're deciding to start over in some way, shape, or form, I want to take this to a serious spot for a second here. I was living in a location in a situationship, and all of a sudden, everything, the foundation of that circumstance, crumbled, just crumbled. And so there was mad dashing, endless, day after day after day, dealing with while doing this. And after months and months and months and months and months, the end came. The end was predicted, the end came. And when the end comes, you get to fall down, right? No, I didn't get to fall down, because every next thing that had to be done, every next situation that I reached into and showed up for, had complications that I was completely unfamiliar with and unqualified really at the time, although quick learner over here, and remarkably unhelpful people on the other side. Dismissive, disconnected, disinterested, and not very good at their jobs. Clerical errors that were serious. Small, but serious. Endlessly. Months and months and months of missed communications, and no one taking responsibility. For me, after the initial onslaught of push, lean, fall down, get up, to discover that it wasn't over, that in many ways it was almost worse. And in some of those situations, there is no one who can say, here, let me help you with that. I see that you're having a problem. Here, let me help you with it. Let me take that off your shoulders. In some situations, they can't. What they can do, however, and what my dear special people did, was said, I'm bringing coffee, I'm bringing this, and you're going to take a 10-minute break. And I'm not going to take no for an answer. And they would show up, and I would say, I've got too much to do. You have time for 10 minutes. And it wasn't a 10-minute talk. It was a 10-minute sit with somebody, have the coffee, eat the freshly created thing, and just breathe. Price tag? Beyond price. Those are the jobs that are the soft services. Those are the soft things we don't see. Those are the relationships that last a lifetime. And we don't always connect with them every day. We do connect, though, when the timing is right, when our special connection is needed. And after that first slog, fall down, second slog, fall down, all of a sudden, I can breathe. All of a sudden, for the first time in a long time, I see the world differently. Because all of a sudden, for the first time in a long time, that first unimaginable slog opened my eyes. When I fell down, the second slog took me out at the knees. But when I did open my eyes, I realized that all the barnacle buddies were gone and I was free. And while I was exhausted and didn't really know which way to face, it was amazing. I just kind of walked around grinning, goofy. People saying, "How's that project going?" And I said, "Well, it had a bit of a setback, but it's awesome. It's awesome. Every day is awesome." And when I look back through the slog and the pre-slog slog and the slog before that, there are days when I don't know how I kept going. And I know we've all been there. I know we all are there. I know that the ups and the downs, there are sometimes we crash into things. And so when I was talking with Gary, my producer, I said, there's a slight shift in the direction that I want us to take. You tell me what you think. And I said, these people who are looking at September as they're now then back to work, I think they need what we know. And I think they need it before they go to the job fair, to the new move, to the new situation. I think they need to see that it's easier than it has to be. I think they need to hear from people like us who have been through it and come out the other side and said, whew, so can we close that door for a moment? They need to know they're not alone. They need to know that all the things they used to want and have and did are still within their reach if it matters. And if those things don't matter, there are new things that do. And what Pivotry in motion, what the lion effect is all about, is drawing that heart-shaped line in the sand and saying to the barnacle buddies and the toxic situationships, I'm going to love you from afar. I'm not going to say it never mattered. I'm going to say that from today, this path matters more. And thank you for being there when you were. And that's a hard thing to do. And we are going to help you because we've done it. And we know what it feels like. And we know what the steps are. So you're getting ready to go on that diet. You're getting ready to do that workout. You're getting ready to try something that makes you look 40 pounds lighter and 10 years younger. You're getting ready to look at a job. You're getting ready to think twice about the relationship. You're getting ready to do things differently with your house, with your living situation, with your kids, with your family. What I want you to do, if money's tight, stick with me. Watch these videos. These are my gift to you. If, however, you're ready for more and you've budgeted for it, I want you to start thinking seriously about the workshops that we're going to be starting very soon. Where to start before you start? How do you know where you want to go if you don't know what you want? I had this conversation last night with my fabulous client pal, Susan, who was saying she's exhausted from going away all the time. And I said, well, people forget that everywhere you go, there you are. So if you take tired with you, you're still tired there. And when you get back, you're still tired. You have to deal with tired before you go, not when you go. And she said, I know that. I know that. This is what I want to have happen with us, with me and thee. I want you to recognize that I wasn't just a mom on TV. I'm not maternal, but I am a nurturer. I am a navigator. I am a storyteller. I get where you've been. I get how it felt and still feels. I get the confusion when you say, now what? I wrote the book on it. And then I made a career out of it. And you know, the theme of our workshops, the theme of our training, the theme of our webinars and our content is excellence, success, and resilience. When you excel at something long enough, consistently, you achieve success. When you practice success and hone it and make it the way we do this, you develop resilience. There are tools. There are techniques. There is guidance. We never do this alone because we cannot see the forest when we are the tree. And as everybody is amping up and ramping up and saying, I got to take seriously this thing here, the question is, I wonder how I do that. And the answer is, ask me. And together we can make this fall, this September, this fresh start, this new path exciting instead of terrifying, instead of exhausting. We can give you the support, the connection, the resonance you need to feel that you're not alone in this. I wouldn't wish what I went through for the last 2 years, 2.5 years on anybody. Unless they wanted a really good lesson in survival and thrival, if that's a word. So much of it was unavoidable, and therefore you just do it. So much of it was draining. And I had to be reminded, and I had to remind me that you can't drain your batteries totally. As Freddie said, my phone is down to this much and it's dropping fast. Good, plug it in. Stop, plug it in, give it a chance. When we're exhausted, though, we don't pay attention to that. We just keep on going until we fall down. If you think of a battery charge, you have less and less capacity the longer and longer you use it without stopping and giving it a boost. We don't think about that when it's us. That's where we get the word burnout from. And I was talking about capacity on Tuesday. If your microwave and your toaster are on the same circuit, you spend a lot of time flipping the breaker. I was talking to my friend. He said, I just have the toaster in the living room now. I said, what? Why? He said, because. I said, can't you move another appliance? Oh, I never thought of that. The toaster was easier. Do you have crumbs all over the rug? Yeah, how'd you know? Well, toaster. So what these workshops are for and what they do and how they work is this. We start at the beginning. We find out what the problem is. We find out what your priorities are. And we work our way in from the small stuff to the bigger stuff to the big stuff. And we check back. We circle back to the small stuff. And we keep it light as we're beginning so that we have the energy and the capacity and the joy in the learning rather than the grimness of the slog. So what I bring as a mentor, as a navigator, I'm a Yoda, okay? I'm a Yoda. I'm a success and resilience Yoda. What I bring to you is wisdom born of experience. We tailor it to you. We don't force you to conform to us. We find you where you are and guide you to the place you want to be. We can do it virtually. We do it in person. I'm what Gary and I were talking about, and I said, I think we want two sets of opportunities. One is going to be like 90-minute sessions. It's an hour and a half. So you can do that on the phone, one-on-one, and get together in a small group, 10 people, spend 90 minutes. And it's easy to then plug those into your day. Do it after work, do it on weekends. If you're working from home and you say, I'm going to take this particular morning and make that happen. And what those 90-minute sessions are hands-on specific issues to flip. They are, I don't even know how to start. Good, this is how we start. Let's do a let's start. That would be an easy 90 minutes. For instance, this video today on what if the job interview isn't about me. That's an easy 90-minute session, longer than what I'm doing, because if I have 10 people, we're going to be doing a lot of interaction, a lot of Q&As. We're going to stand up and walk through it. That's an easy kind of thing. What would a 3-hour session be? A 3-hour session is going to be taking a specific subject, taking a specific mountain we can't figure out how to climb, and break it down, and break it into groups, and work through examples. Present the examples. Discuss what we see. It's like a TED Talk, except why is it always about TED? It isn't. In this one, it's interactive. And again, we keep it small. Again, I don't want more than 20 people, because I want everybody to feel that they get 100% of their time and their voice heard. And we're going to start scheduling those in and around certain places. I've got a fabulous meeting room right here that is easy to take 10 people. Gary's got one as well. And we're going to go and look at a couple of locations today. And so when I get back to you next week, in our next video, I'm going to be able to talk to you about tangible solutions and tangible investments involved. What is it worth to you? What is it going to ask of you, both personally, time, supplies, tools, and costs? And then you'll be able to say, this matters to me. This works for me. I'm going to shift things around so I can afford it. Because always remember, a very famous young woman just said this last week, and I almost want it on a shirt, although I'm sure somebody's already doing it. Your energy, your time, your creativity, your talent, your essential you, they're luxury items. You don't find those at the discount bin. You are a luxury item. And the people you welcome in, the people who wish to experience those things, they have to want to afford it. Not everybody can afford it. Not everybody can afford a luxury item. We can afford small luxuries if we can't afford large ones. We can make do, we can shift things around. And if we simply can't because we're strapped, then that's what these free sessions are for. And if you're new here watching this and you're seeing these comments coming up, these are the people commenting among themselves and with me. And quite often after the video, the conversation continues. Absolutely free. except for the one commitment we have all made, and that is to invest our time and our interest and our commitment. And those are luxury items, which is why I always say at the end how grateful I am that you're here. Without you, these videos are a rehearsal. It's me talking to the wall. You are the guts and the glory of what's going on here. And I want to thank you for coming, continuing to come, showing up, telling your friends. We got some new people on our YouTube channel the other day. We're getting these great comments from people on LinkedIn, a couple of people from Instagram, and of course, Facebook. The momentum is slowly beginning. 382, I think, was when I started seeing something start to happen. Okay, that was a magic number then. Before I go, I want to say the thing I always say. Be good to you. You deserve it. Don't settle for breadcrumbs. Don't settle for disrespect. Don't settle for familiarity breeds contempt. And don't give it. It's magic what we have here. And we have the ability to cherish it. And remember to hug your loved ones because they deserve it too. Okay. Thank you for watching. As always, you are amazing. And I will catch you next time.